There are shows in this world that we will never fully understand, except Ghost Adventures. We have watched every episode to build our obsession, our fandom.
Watching alongside each other because no one we know really gives a damn. Watching Zach and crew catch groundbreaking proof of the paranormal, inspiring us to explore our own interest in other worldly phenomena. This is our podcast. We are Paranormal Putas.
Hey.
Oh. That was so sad.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Leah.
And it's me, Bethany.
Bethany? Bethany, are you out there? And we're the Paranormal Putas. And we're here with another Ghost Adventures review. We are here to discuss Season 6, Episode 5, Letchworth Village, which aired, I put October 28th, 2011. I don't know if that's accurate. I just went a week out from the previous episode. So we're somewhere in late October, early November 2011. So let's talk about Letchworth Village. I keep saying it like that because I want to say Lench, like Len, but that's not it. It's Let. It's Lech.
Lech, like wretch.
Yeah, Letchworth. Which was basically a residential institution located in Rockland County, New York, in the hamlet of the Thiles, built for the physically and mentally disabled of all ages, from the newborn to the elderly. Opened in 1911, Letchworth Village at its peak consisted of over 130 buildings spread out over many acres of land. It was named for William Pryor Letchworth, who espoused reform in the treatment and care of the insane, epileptics, and poor children. Reports of inadequate funding and improper care of the residents, including children, were present dating back to the 1920s. Accounts surfaced of residents being found unclothed, unbathed, and neglected, in addition to rampant abuse amongst the institution's residents, staffs, and others suffered abuse at the hands of co-workers, which included incidents of grape. The institution gained national attention in 1972 when Gerardo Rivera exposed them for what was going on in the halls of Letchworth. So, of course, typically when we hear about those things, it triggers the guys, and that's why I think we're there.
Yeah, and that was on a TV special called The Last Great Disgrace.
Yeah,
which is not mentioned there.
Yes, you're right. The wikis did not mention the title. But that's really some of the history in regards to the location that we're at. So a lot of just really super fucked up things happening. And usually that leaves some really strong residual energies.
One, we're really tired. I don't know why. I just got so tired. And then two, this episode was really heavy, bro. Like this shit was depressing. Like it was rough. So it was in 1911 they opened. They didn't close till 1996.
Yeah.
So this shit was going on until the 90s. That was like 80 years of just absolute mistreatment of the physically and mentally impaired. Mm-hmm. So the guys are going there. They were in New York and Manhattan at the time when they head out to Letchworth. And a fucking hurricane hits. Yeah. So they mentioned that the last hurricane that hit New York before that day was in 1938. Yep. And this kind of traps the guys in Manhattan, but they drive out anyway, you know? I mean, they're kind of trapped, and like obviously like they show them driving through the areas. Yeah. So it's like it's super scary. It's flooded. Mm-hmm. And then of course Zach's going on about how water is a conductor for electromagnetic energy, which kind of helps, facilitate hauntings, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so as the guys make their way through, like Bethany said, Zach's kind of going on and on about how the elements of nature are really more than likely going to enhance their investigation. The guys make it to Letchworth, and that's when we really kind of jump in and kind of, I guess, deeper dive into some of the accounts that took place, because we get to talk to previous nurses and people that worked at Letchworth, and we hear from their point of view what they observed. So the guys that lean into the fact that there were 130 buildings into the in the complex overall, and Zach makes the comment like, you know, it started with good intentions, but it went wrong, like it went south like really fast. Children were living inhumane. Again, like we mentioned, just extreme signs of neglect. There was a quote that they show on the screen, and it said, "It smelled of filth, it smelled of disease, and it smelled of death." So that was, you know, really intense to hear. And then that's when we meet Sarah Bogart, who was a former nurse at Letchworth, and she explained really in one building how they had children that were so deformed. She said they were like almost like pretzels, the way they were bent, and she goes, but they were normal like me and you. And she's talking to Zach, and then Zach gets like visibly upset, like, well, if they were normal like me and you, like, why were they in this place? And she's like, it's just because they were disabled and people didn't know how to take care of them. So I thought that was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was like a taboo then, you know, you don't talk
Yeah.
about those things,
Yeah.
right? You just kind of ignore them. And then they were left in this facility really to rot. You know, they're
Yeah.
pooping on themselves, puking on themselves, choking on themselves. They're not clothed. It was really heavy and depressing shit. Like, it was
yeah.
seriously rough to watch the first, like, chunk of this episode.
Yeah, it's really brutal.
She talks about how they had like one spoon per 80 people. So it's like if you're a nurse giving out medications, you're using that one spoon.
Yeah. So then we talked to a woman named Stacy, and I don't know if you noticed this, but her tongue was blue.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know. It was the first thing I noticed.
And
And it
I
really
was
creeped me
like-
out. I was like, she's a demon.
I was that, or it's like, why are you gonna eat a fucking blue lollipop before you go on TV to fucking film
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures? God.
Yeah.
But anyways, Blue Tongue Stacy pops up, and she goes on to tell the guys that that location was the first to test the polio vaccination, and they used it on children at Letchworth. And once, so they did it on an 8-year-old the very first time they tested this vaccine, and when the child did not die, they then tested it on 19
19
other
more.
children. So that's fucking wild too. And I think at that point for me, they start talking about the graveyard, which is located about 2 miles away from the actual facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at the graveyard, you know, it too is also like a shame of like the area, because the deceased were not given proper tombstones. They were given a
Right.
number.
Yeah.
So you have a stick, a shitty little cross with a number on it, and that's your tombstone.
Yeah, no, it's brutal. I think they said, or we meet someone named Craig, who's just another eyewitness at the location, and he says, you know, now they have a monument up where they list all the names of the people that were buried. But to Bethany's point, the markers are just numbers. They're not going to go and replace all the markers. It's just
No.
now there's a big monument with everyone's name on it.
And honestly, I highly doubt that they know where each and every one
Oh,
is
yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, no,
you know,
for sure.
like I don't know. Maybe the records are that good. Who knows?
I doubt it.
Another interesting thing that they noticed, or like that what's her face who worked there,
Sarah.
Sarah had mentioned that she walked into one of the rooms once and saw like was it the basement? Where was it? It was one of the
I think
medical
it was
rooms.
the basement. Yeah, where
Yeah.
she's all the medical cabinets.
Yeah, and they had like jars and jars of brains down there. She said there had to be at least 50 jars of brains. And I thought that was interesting because they play at it like it's just this scary horror movie type thing. You know,
Yeah.
like Zach is like, oh, it's like a zombie movie or whatever. And she's like, yeah, it was really creepy. But I feel like they didn't actually touch on why they would take those brains.
Yeah,
And in
to
my
test
mind,
it.
I would feel like, yeah, they're trying to see like, okay, if you have this deformity, does it show up in your brain? So
Yeah.
personally, I feel like hopefully they were doing something that was actually progressive, but who really knows?
Yeah, no, I get that. That's what I thought too. Like you would want to study and examine that brain depending on the patient. So
Exactly.
yeah. But to Bethany's point, they made it just like, whoa, this is creepy.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because there's a moment where so Zach's hearing about the brains remains and the graveyard and all these things. And then he just kind of goes on this tangent like of the hurricane, and because there's all these plants growing onto the building and engulfing Letchworth Village now. And he's like, did Mother Nature water the plants to continue to hide this monstrosity of a building that, you know, that was just so horrible for so many people? And he just has this moment of like where he's reflecting on how the hurricane coming and watering Letchworth is just to continue to hide the secrets of Letchworth.
Yeah.
And I thought that was wild because he just kind of like pops off about it. And I think that's when we meet Dave.
Yeah.
And little emo girl Abby.
Yeah. Dave is chewing gum and fucking Zach gets on his ass about it. He's like, I don't know. He just kind of shames him and is like, we don't chew gum while we do interviews. He was also like, we also don't bang our chests and we don't fart.
Yeah. Which we know that they do. It's captured in audio evidence.
Yes,
But yeah, man, he has a moment and Dave's like, is this a joke or not? Like, I don't think he knows really how to take it.
Yeah. Because Zach can be jokey, but he's also like, I'm like, yeah, it just felt kind of weird.
Yeah, like I'm asserting dominance. I'm alpha male Zach, and
Yeah.
we don't chew gum on Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
And then we meet emo girl. I have her name as Abby. I hope that's right.
It's Jacqueline.
Oh shit.
I think you were stuck on Abby from last episode, Abby Borden.
Oh, probably.
But her name is Jacqueline, and I wrote it down because, or Jacqueline, something like that. I wrote it down because the second she comes on screen, I yelled so loud and so excitedly that the cat jumped off the couch and ran away because she is quintessential 2011 emo scene girl. She has the stupid outfit, like the pink shirt
with the like it's the shirt and then the longer lace shirt underneath that's popping out.
That pops out from under the tight pants, the ballet slipper shoes, and the headband, the really shitty too white pasty makeup, and then her hair has like the blue stripes, like the blue streaks with the black horizontal stripes in it. You know, it is just classic scene, and I just was so excited to see it. But her and Dave would frequently trespass into Letchworth, and she mentioned that they were basically addicted to the building, and like it really just got under their skin. So her and Dave were like actively addicted to this building and would come visit like up to 4 times a week in 1 week.
Yeah, I think at one point Nick compares their addiction to this building to how the crew feels about like places like the Washoe and Bobby Mackey's. He's like, that's how we feel about those places. Like we're addicted to them and things follow us home from that location. Yeah. So Dave tells the guys how one night after him and Jacqueline are there, he leaves and then on the way home his radio cuts off and a voice comes through his radio, and so he feels like he was being followed and potentially by the big shadow that he saw there.
Yeah, so what he saw there that night when they ran home was a huge shadow with white eyes, and that really freaked him and Jacqueline out. So that's when they left and heard that shit on the radio, which is extra terrifying.
Oh yeah. I think and I don't think you said it, how he mentioned the shadow had backwards bent legs. I thought that was wild too.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
and then the glowing white eyes. Yeah. Like, what the fuck, bro? I don't know. That shit was wild.
It was wild. After we hear from those guys, we kind of go back to Craig and hear more about his claims where he spent time in the dentist's room. And really, he just had an experience where he's like, you know, I lost my breath. I got really dizzy. Like he had really strong physical responses to the dentist's room in the building.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had for the intro. And then it just kind of gets into like the actual investigation.
Oh, yeah. The last thing I have for pre-investigation is Zach's talking about Jacqueline, and he goes that he really can't look her in the face because the way she's talking really like, I don't know, like she's a body snatcher, man. Like there's no emotion there. She's just like, we really are addicted to this place. Like she's just real stone face about it. And Zach's like, I can't even look her in the eye. It's not like she's really herself. And I'm like, okay, but you also don't really know this person either. So how can you really make that call? But I thought she was like a little off-put. off-putting. So I thought that was crazy that Zach caught it out, but he blames it more on like the location being their addiction. And then he talks to Sarah Bogart one more time towards the end, and Sarah tells Zach, just let the ghosts know that you're here to listen to them. And then she gets really emotional about it, like just make sure that they know people are here, whether it's 50 years later, just make sure they know people are here to hear them out. So Zach thanks her for that. And then we roll into some haunts, baby. Honorable haunts and skimpy scares.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of skimpies.
I have like 4.
Okay. Well, I'll kick off with the guys like instantly just start feeling a type of way. They start feeling off. Aaron says it feels like he's leaning forward and he can't kind of like he's going to fall forward and he can't keep his balance. But again, these are things that they feel, we don't see, we don't hear. So I put that as a skimpy.
Yeah, that was my first skimpy too. And then following that, Aaron hears a girl scream.
Yeah.
And again, we don't catch that on EVP. We don't catch it on camera, but he says that he heard a girl scream.
Yeah. And yeah, it would have been so cool to hear that.
I know.
For me, the next skimpy I have is the guys, the way Zach puts it is like, we didn't plan on splitting up, but they split up. And Zach says maybe it was like we were caught in a spiritual current. And I thought that was funny, but the guys end up just separating from each other. And again, that wasn't a part of the plan. So, coincidence maybe, or maybe it was the spirits trying to separate them. But again, skimpy. Zach called it out, but it was nothing major.
Yeah. Later on in the episode, they're investigating and the guys are feeling dizzy. I think it's mostly Nick, really. And again, just that's not something I can track,
Yeah.
So I put that as a skimpy. I mean, granted, shit's popping off and things are going down, or have been happening. But again, just that to me is skimpy.
Yeah. For me, followed up with a male EVP voice. Like, it's there, but it's not grade A. You can't really make out any words. It's just... so maybe that's more of a skimpy honorable, but I think that's the last skimpy I have, because I do have some skimpy honorables.
Yeah, I have some of those too. My last skimpy is, again, Nick gets pushed, but we don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, later on in the investigation, Nick is like, oh, something pushed me. And he does freak out and, he moves away and stuff. And, we get to see the freak out, but we didn't get to see him get pushed.
Yeah. So then for me, my skimpy honorable is the first one I have is a loud thump while Nick is in the dentist's room. I put that as a skimpy honorable. Again, it's an old building. I'm sure things shift all the time, just naturally. So it's kind of hard with no additional evidence to support the thump, like no EVPs, no millimeters are going off. There's no body reaction. So I put that as a skimpy honorable.
Yeah, I did the same, and also with the weird noises and just in general unexplained sounds.
Yeah.
So when I was writing that as kind of a skimpy, I was like, it's an unexplained sound. I mean, it could be something. And then Zach comes on and he's like, we don't know if it was just the building or paranormal. And I was like, bro, I was just thinking that. So they have a few moments of weird noises and we're just really not too sure.
Yeah. And then after that, just kind of going more into the noises, Zach's talking about how he's hearing Nick and Aaron yelling. And then when he goes to find the yells or find the guys, they're nowhere to be found. None of that's captured on audio or video. So we didn't hear any mimicking or yelling or anything like that. That would have been fucking badass. Yeah. But yeah, skimpy honorable. So I'm going to believe you, Zach, but you can't prove it.
Yeah. There was one that was skimpy honorable because they had an EVP happen after it, but Aaron got touched. And again, it's I don't know if he really got touched, but he says he got touched and then an EVP happened. So that's why I put that as skimpy honorable.
Yeah. I think my last skimpy honorable is another EVP, and you can't make out the words. Even when they replay it, the first time they replay it, it's just 4 dashes. And then Zach says, it sounds like they come get me. And then when he replays it, now that you hear those words, you hear it, but it's one of those things you read you hear what you read type things. Tests, I forget the name of them, but yeah, that it was skimpy honorable.
Same thing with the EVP for me. Then talk.
Oh,
They got an
okay.
EVP that later says then talk.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, I don't know if it really said that.
So yeah, that's my last skimpy honorable. You got any more?
Nope.
All right, baby, let's jump into the honorables. What you got?
My first one is the unexplained male EVP. So again, you can hear that it's like a guy, but you don't really hear any noise. I mean, like you can't make out what he's saying.
Yeah.
But again, I felt like that was good because I can distinctly hear that it is a man's voice and not just like something falling off in the distance.
Yeah, no, that's fair. For me, my first one was Aaron is hanging out in the morgue, and he gets a grade A EVP of, "Oh, shut up, you prick."
Yeah, that was my next one. Yeah.
And then he feels something like kind of touch his neck. So that was really really cool.
that Aaron gets touched after the EVP.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
so that EVP was a honorable for sure.
Oh yeah.
But again, Aaron getting touched, like you can't see that. But,
right. Yeah.
The next honorable that I have is another EVP. It's pretty intense one, and they get it pretty early on. And Zach thinks it says, "Pray your God," but it sounds like really demonic. It's like, "Pray your God," you know. I thought it said, "Play your God," like play your God, because I feel like that makes more sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you are in charge of disabled people, you can play God.
Yeah.
And that's not fucking cool.
Right. Yeah, no. I also heard play on God. But yeah, that was my next honorable as well. And I think in that moment too, Zach starts having like this moment where he wants to be left alone and he wants to channel this evil energy, and and Aaron comes up to him and Zach's like, "Stay away from me, just get back and stay away," right after he gets this EVP, and Aaron's like, "Yeah, I'm not fucking with that." So Zach's in this moment, in this element where he's like, "All right, I'm getting some demonic shit," and he just really wants to be in that moment alone. Let's see. For me, the next honorable is an EVP the guys capture that says, "You're taunting me," and I like that. I can't remember exactly where they were in that moment, but it was a grade A EVP for sure.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
My next one is probably the biggest one in the episode. And so Zach sees a shadow in a room and he's freaking out. We don't really see it until they do a replay, and they have to really like replay it slow and give you a lot of information on like where shadows are and bliggity blue.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they do that because you do see the shadow and it's fucking creepy. And you see this shadow come out from behind like a corner and he's walking like behind a window pane type situation.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it was really cool. I like that one a lot. And yeah, that probably is like the biggest honorable. I did have some other notes. The guys capture like, we get a timestamp of 4:47 a.m. and this siren keeps going off in the building.
The Silent Hill alarm that they call it.
Yeah, and Zach refers to it as the Silent Hill alarm. It's so good. But then Zach captures the EVP that Bethany mentioned when he turns on the spirit box, then talk. So I thought that was kind of just a cool capture altogether. And it kind of made me think of Haunted Hill House when we went and we heard like the whistle or like the chirping and stuff just kind of randomly, like these random noises. And for them, it was a siren. And I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. My next honorable is an answer to a question. So they were asking, "Did they do tests on you here?" And the answer was attack. And I thought that was fucking nuts. And then I don't know if you have the next one.
Yeah, the yell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they follow that up with, "Is there a lady with us?" And then they capture a girl yelling an EVP.
She screams. They catch a fucking woman scream.
Yep.
And then they catch her again saying, "Please help."
Yeah. And that's when you mentioned the skimpy of Nick getting pushed. Like we didn't see that. He freaks out. He's like, I got pushed. And then of course Zach's like, "And in that moment, Nick captured the EVP. Please help." So that was pretty honorable. I think for me, the last one I have is an unexplained scream EVP when Nick says, speak to me, and then the EVP comes through. So, so I thought that was really good. They had a pretty strong balance of skimpy and honorables in that episode, I think.
I agree. I think it was a strong one for sure.
Oh, yeah. But you know what's next? Oh,
No, balls. I didn't mean to hit it, and it was the wrong one anyway. I was prepping because I heard you going for it.
so you know what that means.
Zach's fashion for us! Love it.
All right. It's a good time. And I think he had some good moments in this episode. Of course, typical intro is just classic Zaddy. He's rocking the big belt buckle, black t-shirt, solid. He's still rocking the aviators, baggy jeans, and some pretty solid like tennis shoes. So pretty classy look. I don't know. Did you have anything for fashions?
I mean, it was just really the investigation that they wore the masks, you know? And like Zach had that silly little cap on. But otherwise they were looking pretty normal. Nothing too special this episode in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no. I think Bethany's saying the silly little hat. He's wearing a backwards baseball cap and a long sleeve shirt, and I put hot. And then he puts on the mask because like his respirator mask to keep him from the mold and stuff. And he goes,
Bestus.
he's like, get ready for Zach's Vader voice, and I thought that was kind of funny to support the mask wearing. But but yeah, that's it for the fashions.
Yeah, it really wasn't a lot. Not a lot going on in this one.
Nuh-uh.
Lame. The guys got to step their shit up. All right. I need the bedazzles. All right. I need the rhinestones. I need the big rings. I need the big buckles.
We're maturing.
Zany Zaddy says,
What? Holy shit.
my favorite segment.
It's a good time. It's a good time. Oh, and she's ready to go. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
So one of the first lines in the episode, Zach says, "We are going into the walls no one wants to go into, so we can feel the hell." And I thought that was really just beautiful. Zach is a real poet, okay? And he needs to just like put out a poetry book already.
I think that's great because my first zany zaddy is also kind of in the very beginning, and he just goes, "Just be ready, man. This is gonna be a fucking tough lockdown."
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, but of course it's like bleeping lockdown, but you get the gist.
One of my next one was ones that you already mentioned about the hurricane coming in to like hide the village. It said, he says, "The village of secrets. The hurricane came to water and help all of this grow." And he's pointing to like all the vegetation and shit. And he's like, yeah, again, implying that like Mother Nature wants to hide this shit because it's such a disgrace. So, again, just beautiful with the metaphor there. He also mentions though that this place is anything but abandoned or some shit because there's ghosts there.
Yeah, it's good. The next one I have is actually the last one I have. He says, "It's not a grave, it's not a hospital, it's a tomb." And I was like, yeah, man, yeah, it is.
I like that one too. One of my favorite things he says is right when they start the investigation, you know how a lot of times he gives you like, here's an X cam, here's where we're going, here's the hub, like whatever. They get in there and he's like, "Let's just turn off the damn lights and start investigating." And it was just so great. It was so good.
Hell yes, brother.
There was a moment where he says this real quick, and I was trying to write it down because again, I know on my laptop right now. I was trying to write it down and I couldn't get the whole thing. So all I got was the best part. And it says, Zach was talking about he was getting charged up. Because this location is just so crazy. He's getting charged. He's so charged up. So, I don't know. I think I have more, though. This one was a good one. Oh, my last one is actually Aaron, and you mentioned this too. So Zach was all getting all willy-nilly talking about, the whole spiritual guidings and currents and things, and he was riding that demonic wave, and he tells Aaron to back the fuck up. And Aaron says, definitely not sticking around for that. And he fucking just moseys. He big steps his ass home back.
He's big stepping out of
He's
there.
big stepping right out of there.
If you know, you know. Oh, man, that's great. But you guys, that's the history, the haunts, the fashions, and the zaddies. It's time to rate Letchworth Village. I give Letchworth 2.5 stars.
Wow.
2.5 claws.
Why?
I don't know. I think it was just like such a bummer on the pre-investigation, and like just really brought me down to a place that I didn't come back from. Like, so I just stayed real low.
Yeah. Oh, I feel that. I mean, we're both like,
It's just low right now.
it was very depressing. But what's really fucked up is that I'm going to give it a 4.
You would.
Okay. This one was depressing as shit.
Yes.
Where no, that's fucking awful, disgusting what humans do. But the reason I rate it so high is because the fucking activity was badass.
They did
The guys were really fucking funny. This episode with the really the really silly things that Zach was saying, like his poetry, which I'm here for and I love. It's why we watch. But really, there was a moment when they were all like scattered off and stuff.
Yeah.
Where I thought, fuck, this is a good movie. And like I stopped watching it as like a reality TV show and I saw it as a movie and I was like, fuck, this would be a great premise. Like I know that those movies exist and stuff, but like with the things that were happening to them and like, I don't know, I just felt like I could watch that for 2 hours, you know? I was like, fuck, this is a really good movie. So because of the entertainment value on that level of the guys investigating, that's why I gave it a 4.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, man. We did our ratings. And good, bad, depressing as fuck. We definitely need a cleanse.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Omni rigere suminaro. Omni rigere suminaro.
Take a big deep breath in. Release that sucker out. You are cleansed.
Focus, baby. I feel it all over.
Thanks so much, everyone, for hanging out with us. We hope to see you next time. Per usual. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Leah.
And we're signing off with 2 besitos.
From these putitos.
Ya butthole.
Stanky.